Commanders and future commanders alike, welcome to my Zero to Legendary mini-series. This is Framenthor, and in this series I'll be diving into how I would go about getting my legendary items if I started completely fresh. From picking the right profession, to prioritizing gold making, events and crafting, I'll show you step by step what I would do if I was starting over today. This video is aimed at new players, but maybe some veterans could also pick up a tip or two. Subscribe if you like content like this, comment if you think I missed something or would like to add your 2 cents. And before we get started, I just want you to remember, legendaries in Guild Wars 2 are a marathon, not a sprint. Now, let's get into it. Let's talk about what a legendary item is. Okay, in Guild Wars 2 there's multiple levels of items, okay, starting from magic all the way to legendary. Ascended and legendary have the same level of stats, and then there is exotic, which is slightly worse but still usable. So for example, I have this exotic celestial gloves, okay? Now I also have legendary gloves. Okay, so if I replace these gloves with the legendary and put on celestial, you can see the stats are slightly better. Obviously with celestial you won't see bigger difference, but that's not the point. Either way, legendaries and ascended have the same item level essentially is what you're looking for. Okay, also has a bit more defense. Why do you want legendaries? Legendaries are basically peak convenience, okay? Once I have legendary gloves of, let's say, armor class light, all of my light characters will no longer need to find their own gloves. From that point on, I can just equip legendary gloves from the top of the screen here. And see, I have legendary shoulders here. I can replace, etc., etc. Okay, and it will always appear here if I am wearing a light armor character. And I can always switch the stats at will from all the stats that are in the game. I can put runes that I want, and then I can take them out for free. I can change the wardrobe of it, again for free. Okay, these changes will cost 0 transmutation. So basically legendary is just peak convenience. So that is why you want legendaries. They are basically like the chase item in this game. They take very long to craft, but they are worth it because they're so convenient. Let's talk about your first character. If you already have one, you don't have to follow this step. But if you're just starting in, you're very low level, you didn't put much effort into it, here are some things I would consider if I made a brand new account, made a brand new character, and my purpose was legendaries. Okay, so we click on this and we choose the character. Races don't really matter. Maybe there's some niche build somewhere that uses a racial, but honestly it's mostly for appearance. I do like the humans for the most part in terms of cosmetics, so that's that. Now, here you have the classes. So you have the heavies, you have the medium, and you have the light. If I was going for my first legendary, I have to consider which armor type, which classes would I be playing more often or more of, right? Am I more into medium, like do I like the ranger, thief, engineer more? Am I more into mesmer, necromancer, elementalist? In my opinion, the most important decision you can make is which one would you find fun. However, I am not here to talk about fun, I'm talking about optimization, okay? While also having fun. If, let's assume you like all 9 classes the same, then we don't care about fun. We only care about optimization. If I had to choose an armor type to go with, I would 9 times out of 10 go with light armor. Reason being, necromancer, really easy, really strong, really useful, can do all the boons. You can do alacrity, you can heal, you can do quickness, and you can just do condition DPS, and you can do power DPS. And they're all fairly easy overall. Mesmer. Chronomancer, one of the elite specializations for Mesmer, is one of the best healers in the game, simply because infinite stability, can switch from alacrity to quickness with just one talent change. The builds for power go across the board between all specializations, pretty much, except Virtuoso needs less critical chance, but honestly, doesn't matter that much. Mirage, after the buffs, is extremely strong. You can do condition DPS, you can do power DPS, you can do alacrity heal, you can do quickness heal, you can do alacrity DPS. Okay. Mesmer and Necromancers are just fantastic classes that cover so many bases, and they're also extremely good in World v World, which we will be talking about. You will be doing World v World. You have to do World v World if you want legendaries. This is what it is. Now, do you have to choose these? No, you can go with anyone else. Engineer covers many bases, Ranger covers many bases, Thief covers a base, right? Guardian covers many bases. However, in terms of ease to use, in my opinion, nothing is easier than Necromancer for DPS and for heals, and nothing is as maybe Guardian is, but Guardian lacks barriers, whereas Mesmer can also gives a bit of barriers with the rifle. So, in my opinion, I prefer the Mesmer as a healer. It has its problems when it comes to like monsters, but in terms of bosses, Mesmer is amazing. So, if I had to choose a class, I would go with the light armors. After choosing your class, you are not sure if you're going to enjoy it. So after you do the tutorial, which takes about 10 minutes, you get to level 2, and you can enter the PvP zone with the 2 sword sign here, says PvP. And you just do enter PvP lobby. Since I'm already inside, it says exit. You can come to one of these guys. Now, technically, you probably won't have the money for this, realistically speaking, at first. However, in PvP, you get to check all of the specializations if you have the expansions. Okay, I can just choose any specialization. I am technically level 22, but it shows me as level 80. I can try out all the weapons. Okay, I can try out all of the builds and see if I enjoy the class that I picked, how it plays at max level. This can give you a bit of an idea. I don't think it matters that much to a new player, because something might seem fun at first and then it'll be like, oh, this is really tedious. Something might be like, oh, I understand what I'm doing, but then it's like you are doing 10% of the DPS that you're supposed to do. Okay, I wouldn't put too much attention to this. However, I did want to make note of this because I think just trying out to get a feel of what your character will be like, I think it is an important thing to mention. Anyways, as far as character creation goes, this is pretty much it. Let's move on to leveling. Unlike most MMORPGs, Guild Wars 2 leveling is a bit weird, okay? You think that's like, oh, I just need to go around do quests. What are quests? You'll see these hearts and you'll be like, oh, this is a quest, I need to go do it, and I get a lot of XP and I level. Yeah, no, not really. I mean, it's fine to do them for world completion, but realistically, this is not how you want to level. What you want to do is you want to click age. Okay, you want to go into your achievements and you want to go into character adventure guide. And you want to complete these guys. Some of them are very easy to understand, like mine this, get some achievements, do some dodging, revive allies, very basic stuff, okay? Adventure guide basically teaches you how to play the game. This is the most tutorial achievements in the game, okay? It will just teach you what things do in the game. Scouting the area. Oh, talk to scouts. Okay, what are scouts? It's like these guys with the binoculars on. Let me just turn off my not Belishad tracking. Okay, so where do you have one? Here, see, this one's a scout. I talk to this, it will explore the map for me a bit. Okay, here's another scout. So talk to these guys. Basically, it teaches you how to play the game. Okay, these reward a ton of XP. Okay, see, it gives you like an XP item. It gives you a lot, okay? To the point where I believe Volume 4 or Volume 5 is like 50% or 30% of your level. Like a book here, this one, Volume 4, if I'm not mistaken, was 50% of your level. It gives a lot of XP, okay? This is how you level up. Don't worry about anything else. In my opinion, 1 to 80 is not great. Focus on getting to 80. Every 10 levels, you're gonna have a main quest. Main quests are these green symbols, green icons, whirlwinds, whatever you want to call them. Just follow them, do the quest, finish the campaign. There is practically not much else for you to do right now other than finishing the main story and getting to 80. Because at 80 is when you can start, even as early as just getting to 80, you can start farming to an extent for your legendary. Once you reach level 80, you start getting homework or daily routine basically. We will be piling up on this daily routine as we go, but if you just finish the base game, this is pretty much the only daily routine you can do. And that is Tequatl. Okay, the reason you want to do Tequatl is because he gives an ascended weapon. Out of all the world bosses you can do, there are only 2 that give ascended gear. One of them is Tequatl. Tequatl takes 5 to 10 minutes to do. It spawns on reset. Usually there's a bunch of people doing it. This is one of like 8 groups that I found that were doing it on reset, what you're watching right now. Everything else was full. Like I just joined, like I was late. I was like 4 minutes late. I was lucky to even get in because usually these maps, there's too many people, they lock out, there's no room. Okay, so fantastic world boss, easy to do, dies fast, and you have a chance to get a dragon chest. What does dragon chest give you? It gives you, well, aside from giving you breathing masks, which is cool, it also gives you a, where is it? Here we go. Chance at 1 random ascended weapon chest. Okay, so you just choose the ascended weapon of your choice. It has certain stats already imprinted onto it. You can change stats on ascended. So changing stats on ascended weapons, you can change to any stat you want, but it's always more expensive to get the weapon than it is to change it. Okay, most of the time it costs practically nothing to change it. Okay, like these are extremely easy things to get. You can buy exotic inscriptions, most of them. Globe of Ectoplasm, 5 is not a lot. You will be getting this pretty early on anyways. Anthology of Heroes costs 5 spirit shards. You should get, I think, about 10 to 20 by the time you get to level 80, because you get spirit shards from as rewards for certain level ups. Okay, so this would probably be your first ascended weapon if you're lucky. If you're not, that's cool. You're still making gold out of this. It still gives you materials. It is a good thing to do. So once you hit level 80, daily thing you want to do is Tequatl. Now, why do I say you have to hit 80 first? You can technically do it at level 50. However, from my understanding, you cannot get the weapon until you're level 80. It is just not in the drop table until you're level 80. So you have to get to 80 before you start doing this. Literally, 1 to 80, if you have the time and you just do what I told you, you can get there on the second day. It is really not that hard to get to 80 in Guild Wars 2. Let's talk about crafting professions real quick. I personally prefer weaponsmithing. However, the prices of the legendaries change. Now we will have, at some point, we will have to craft a legendary in order to sell it to be able to make more legendaries. Okay? Crafting one legendary allows you to, and selling it allows you basically to craft 2 more legendaries for the profit that you make. Okay? So ideally what will happen later on is you're going to be crafting, or I'll be crafting, tier 3 legendaries, which are the Oreen legendaries, the weapons. Selling them, you make approximately 1,000 gold in profit, and the materials that you can buy in order to craft another one costs about 500 to 600 gold. So you always, kind of play around with it. You sell legendary, then you can craft one, and by the time you finish crafting that one, you have enough to make another legendary that you can sell. I already sold like 5 or 6 weapons overall. Pretty much 5 of them, I believe, were the greatsword, but the prices always fluctuate. Either way, what I would do is I would choose a profession for crafting based on the legendaries that are most expensive. Usually this doesn't swing too much. And if you can go into it, you can see how many people are selling it for this price. I usually go based on the current buyer price, because this is usually what I would sell for. So let's say breath is 1900, wing is 1950, weight is 1900, flight 1910, insight, yada yada. Most of them will be 1900. If I find one that is like 2000 or 2100, I'm like, that's the one I'll be going for. However, at the moment, it doesn't matter too much. These will fluctuate. I'm actually surprised because the other day, scale was actually 2100 and I was gonna craft one and it dropped already to 1800. So I was like, good thing I didn't craft it. But yeah. The other profession, so only one of them you want to do crafting, and the other reason I recommend doing weaponsmithing is because you can craft all of the gifts, which I believe you can craft with any weapon crafting profession. The other thing is because you can craft Glob of Elder Spirit, and don't care about that, and Lump of Mithrilium. Lump of Mithrilium is the most useful out of the daily crafting materials. There are daily crafted materials. You can only craft them once a day. Lump of Mithrilium is the most useful one. Also the one that you can make the most gold off of. But Globe of Elder Spirit is also decent right now, because I think nobody was crafting them for the longest time, because it was actually crafting them was a loss of money. So now it's actually like you can make your money back. Either way, you need Lump of Mithrilium. You can get in multiple professions, but I just prefer weaponsmithing because usually the crafts for weaponsmithing are just more popular. So yeah, what you want, artificing and any weapon profession. Do not bother with armor profession, leatherworking, tailoring, jewel crafting. You don't want that. Armor smithing, you don't want that. If you only have one crafter, focus on huntsman, weaponsmith, and artificing. Next thing that you will have as part of your daily routine is doing daily fractals. What are fractals? They're basically dungeons, okay? The tier 1s that you will be doing at this point, you don't really need much for them. Get your exotic gear, which you can just buy from the, the trading post, from World v World, which we will be talking about that. You have to do World v World daily as well. I know. I'm sorry. You gotta do it. You need the World v World. We'll talk about it later. For now, let's talk about fractals. You need to do fractals. Why do you need to do fractals? First of all, you want to get to tier 4 as soon as possible, so you might as well start early. These are the dailies. Okay, so you're gonna start here, tier 1. By the time you get to tier 2, tier 3, 4, you'll understand how it works, so I'll only explain tier 1. You see these ones, the signs? This means this is a daily. Okay, 3 of them are regular dailies, 1 of them is recommended. Okay, what is special about recommended? Dailies, or basically any fractal, doesn't have to be daily, will reward you with fractal relics. And that's cool, they're nice, they're useful. But what you really want is pristine fractal relics. That only comes from recommended and from challenge modes. Challenge modes are way later, they're in tier 4, don't worry about them, okay? What you want to do is make sure you are keeping up with doing your daily fractals, because you can get, you can't see it now because I already bought them, you can get Mystic Clovers. Mystic Clovers is going to be the thing that holds you back from crafting legendaries the most. You can only buy a certain amount per week from certain content. You really, really want to get as many Mystic Clovers as early as you can. I am not kidding. I cannot craft legendaries as fast as I want to because I run out of Mystic Clovers all the time and Spirit Shards. Okay, another good thing about fractals, good chunk of Spirit Shards. Not a lot, not, I think it's like 10 or 15 per day, but it's good. Another thing here is you can get your first ascended ring that you can change the stats on, and this is going to be very important. You want to get the Mist Band, one of them, because I believe they're unique. They're not unique, you can get 2. However, don't get 2, there is another ring we'll talk about later after Heart of Thorns. You want to aim for this ring first, because you can change the stats on it. This would be your pseudo legendary ring for a very long time. Okay, because you can change stats on it, which is fantastic. So again, fractals daily, Tequatl daily. Now let's talk about World v World. Why do you want the World v World? Because the only way to craft pretty much any legendary weapon, I believe most accessories like your earrings and rings, you need gifts of battle. You can only, unfortunately, get gifts of battle from World v World. Another good thing is you can get a few Mystic Clovers here every time you complete this track, and this track is repeatable. I would highly recommend just keep doing World v World for gifts of battle until you get like 10 of them. Okay, just keep doing this one over and over and over. You want to get as many gifts of battle as you can. You're gonna need a lot of them. Okay, so that's World v World. Now World v World means PvP, and you're like, oh, I don't want to do PvP. Well, here is a cool thing about World v World. You do not need to do any PvP in World v World if you don't want to, just to get the gifts of battle. All you gotta do, okay, you open the map, we are red, and you see these little camps? Blue, green, that's one's red. In other maps, blue, okay. In this map, here's a green one, stuff like that. Camps, aside from in Eternal Battleground, are really easy to take. And it's, most of the time, you're just fighting NPCs. So if you have like a Celestial build, something that's like semi-tanky, you can take camps for free. As long as you take camps, you can maintain your tier 6 participation. You need to take a camp once every basically 15 minutes-ish. 10 to 15 minutes. And you can keep your tier 6 participation. You get the most track points, basically. You get, like, for example, I get 195. So if I go to my reward track, right now I'm at 5,956. And in 50 seconds, I'm going to get another 195. The higher your reward track, the more you're getting XP towards the goal. Now, if you do want a PvP, also totally fine. You will get more reward track. You will get better, what do you call it, XP towards your gift of battle. But if you don't want to, you can just simply PvE. Okay? I would also highly recommend, this is another tidbit, Wizard's Vault Shift Age should be by default. Wizard's Vault, you can set it to what type of rewards you want until you finish basically End of Dragons. I would set it to World v World. Reason being, PvE will sometimes ask you to do things you haven't unlocked yet. You could be level 60, still in the main Tyria campaign, and it will ask you to do a Vista in Cantha, or to kill, for example, I have kill 100 Awakened or Risen. Risen you can in Century, but stuff like, if it's just Awakened, I have to go to Path of Fire to kill Awakened. It's a problem. World v World, you can access at level 2 or 30 or something like that. You can do World v World really early on. So World v World, you can start collecting Wizard's Vault rewards from the get-go. Why do you want them? Because Mystic Clovers. I think it's like 30 per season. Other than that, money. You can get a ton of gold. I think it's 60 gold. Very helpful. Mystic Coins is what you use to craft more Clovers. Okay, so these are by far like the thing you need the most. Also, you can get the Legendary Weapon Starter Kit. You shouldn't worry about that for now. However, having them is pretty nice because it's really easy to craft a legendary, and the only legendary I would want to craft from those early on would be the spear, but I don't know if it's in the rotation. It really depends what the rotation is. But basically, from that you can get a precursor, like an item you need in order to craft the legendary, and the gift of the legendary that you also need to craft legendary. This saves you a ton of time, a ton of money. You also get these gifts. Gift of Might, Gift of Magic. Again, this is more materials that just help you craft the legendary. It becomes extremely easy to craft certain legendaries. However, they require a lot of clovers, so I don't recommend crafting these until way later on. Honestly, weapon is by far the lowest priority for crafting, so don't worry about weapons unless it is the spear. The spear, if it's there, we'll talk about, because every character can use the spear. Spear would be top priority in terms of weapons to craft. But even then, not yet. So anyways, that is the end of episode 1. This is how I would start my journey into crafting the legendary. Okay? How to get to 80, Fractals Dailies, Tequatl Dailies, and World v World Dailies. Okay? I would do them every single day as long as I can. It seems like a lot, but let me tell you, this is maybe, the daily stuff is maybe an hour of your time. I'm not joking. This is like maybe an hour. World v World Dailies is like 30 minutes. Tequatl is 10 minutes. Fractals Tier 1, 20 to 30 minutes. Okay? Really not a lot. And we're going to be piling up on this in the next episode. But for now, this is what I would do at the beginning of my journey going with a brand new character.